So I have been a huge iPhone fan for a long time. In fact, it all started when the first iPhone came out, and I said, oh, I'm not gonna buy it. It's way too expensive. That's ridiculous to buy it. This was in 2007, and I went into the Apple store on Fifth Avenue and looked at the model phones that were sitting there, and I did this, just this slide to unlock, and I thought, whoa. That was incredible. It was one of those moments with technology where I was like really blown away by what it could do. And to be honest, I haven't had a moment like that on phones ever, and probably not that many general cool technology moments like that in a long time. Now, I stuck with the iPhone. In 2009, I bought the 3GS. In fact, I was one of the first people in line to buy it. And I'm a bit embarrassed to admit it, but I was the first person out of the store, so you can see me there. That's me. I forget who took that picture of me leaving the store. I was one of the first ones out of the store with the new iPhone. And someone from CNBC came up to me and was like, oh yeah, I want to interview you for the story about the new iPhone. And I was just like way too embarrassed to admit that I was one of the first people out of the store with the iPhone. And I knew also that as articulate as I would be and as smart as I tried to sound, the only shot they would get of me would probably be being like, it's really cool, and that's it. So I did not do the interview, and I ended up feeling so embarrassed for being like one of those people on camera who's like, I love my iPhone, mwah, Anyway, so I've stuck with the iPhone. I now have the 4S. I got this in 2011. And it's time for me to upgrade. This summer, I'll be ready to get a new iPhone. My contract is up with AT&T. And I'm not sure I want to stick with the iPhone. I've been with the iPhone for 6 years, and it's been a good run, but I'm starting to feel a little bit uncomfortable with it. And so the main thing is that the latest updates of iOS, while they've added cool features like Siri, which I don't really use, Passbook, a couple other interesting features, the core experience really hasn't changed much. This sort of home screen, app screen that we have, and then the lock screen and the dialing experience, it really hasn't changed much. And it's starting to feel a little bit stagnant to me. And I look at what people are doing with their Android phones and thinking like, and just seeing their customizability that they have, and I really like that. And I think there's so many cool Android apps out there that I like a lot. I also, speaking of apps, I feel like on the iPhone, the apps here are a little too sandboxed. They don't have access to the lower level features of the phone, which they seem to on Android. I've seen a lot of cool apps on Android that do interesting things that I know we would never see on the iPhone. For instance, there's an app called Say What, which basically lets you put a subject line on your phone call. So if you and your friends have the app Say What, you can just, as you're dialing, you can say, just saying hi, and then that message will appear on their screen when they pick up the phone. Or you could say, it's an emergency, please pick up. Now, I like that idea as a feature. I think that's a great way. This should be on all calls. We should have something like that. But I know that that's just not possible on the iPhone because apps don't have a lower level access to the phone's hardware and the phone's functionality. And I wish it did, because then we could do some really, really cool stuff, and I could really be blown away by what apps can do. So I'm wondering what phones you guys are using, what kinds of smartphones. I'm not sure if I should be holding on to the iPhone a little longer after my contract is up, or if I make the jump to Android and all that Android has to offer. Now, I know Android isn't a big paradise land, from what I've read, and there's also Ubuntu, but we won't be seeing an Ubuntu phone until October. So if you have an Android phone, or if you switched from the iPhone, I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you've been doing with Android, what you like about Android, especially from people who've used both the iPhone and Android, and what you think of both of them. I like the phones I'm seeing out there. I want to try them out, and maybe this summer I'll be upgrading my phone. So let me know what you think. And also, so you can leave a comment below. You can tweet me at Matt Richardson, or you can send me an email, matt@mattrichardson.com. And I appreciate you watching these videos. I'll be doing a video every weekday for now. This is a big beta test, these vlogs. And I thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting, and have a wonderful day. Bye.